Hello, hello, hello. My name is Seryna, and I help recovering people pleasers get raw, real, and honest about what they truly feel, but in particular about the less than pretty emotions like anger, resentment, judgment, and all those kind of shady things that we like to keep on the inside. And because I work with recovering people pleasers, these are typically nice girls, typically, but nice. And you see those air quotes because we have been conditioned, as women in particular, to be accommodating and pleasant, and like we don't want to be disruptive. We don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. We. There's all these different things that we should do, we should be, and really what it's causing is this denial of an aspect of ourselves. Because any of those things that don't fit in that perfect little box with like the gold trim and the bow on top, anything that doesn't fit into that, we reject. We're being told that it's bad, so we cast it out within ourselves, and we create this kind of this discord within us because we're basically saying that part of us isn't okay. But the thing is that even though we have said that, and so we're not sharing that part of us ourselves with the world, behind the scenes we know it's still there. So we start to feel like we're holding back. We start to feel like we're hiding something from the world, and we start hiding more of ourselves because we have this really big fear of judgment and rejection. And so today I would like to say, fuck all of that. And I wanted to share kind of part of my personal practice in one of the ways that I deal with emotions. So I'm somebody who talks things out really easily. I scream, cry, whatever is needed to be able to like release the emotions that are within me. But before I get to that release part, the percolating part is something that can really kind of get to me. So the part where I'm still stuck in my head, where I'm like dealing with these emotions, or it's on the other side where I have been doing a lot of processing, but the feelings are still there and I'm fucking tired of them. And that's kind of where I've been this week. So without getting into like too many specifics, because this what I'm about to share isn't entirely my journey, and other people don't need to like have their stuff aired without their permission. But people who are really close to me are going through a lot of stuff. And so I hold space professionally, like that's what I do for a living with my clients. But personally, I'm also holding a lot of space, and I'm having feelings about the space that I'm holding and the events that I'm holding it for, because they're all people that matter to me. They're close to me, and there's a lot of them. So because all of this stuff has been going on, and I'm still like showing up for myself, I'm still honoring my own things, I'm, like promoting my book, I'm working with my clients, like all these things are happening at once. And sometimes like over the last few weeks, I bump up against my ceiling where I say, tapped out, enough. And that happened to me yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I got to the place where I was just like, I throw in the towel, I'm done for the day. And I think it was like 4 or 4:30 where I was like, done. And then I just lumped along with the rest of the day. So here's one of the things that I do. So I have this is actually therapy on so many different levels. I also see a therapist, but I have this story within me that I'm not an artist and that I can do stuff with Photoshop. Obviously, I was a graphic designer for a long time. But my mom and my brother are these really, really, really talented artists. And I'm the kind of person who can't draw a straight line with a ruler. But the one thing that I can do is letter. Like I've been able to do lettering my whole life. And so lettering is, and just like that art of creating with my hands is really therapeutic for me. If you haven't already downloaded my free guide and workbook, Conversations with Anger, you should. So one of the sections in there is called Artomatic Writing, and it's basically a tool that anyone can use to be able to use the art of creating things with your hands to be able to access deeper levels of your consciousness. So when you have these big emotions happening and you don't really know why they're coming up, then you're able to get those answers. So Conversations with Anger, I'll link to it when I'm done. I really highly recommend that you get it. But this isn't that practice. This one is a slightly different one. And I have been trying to come at the feelings that I've been having with positivity, not false positivity. I'm not trying to like spiritually bypass myself. But what happens is when I get really inundated with a lot of stuff at the same time and I hit overwhelm, I jump on the pity party train. I'm not going to lie. I start to spiral. I start to think that everything is working against me, and I feel really sorry for myself. And I don't do it for like a super long time, but when I'm in it, I'm like super in it, and you're not going to convince me otherwise. And so I had this moment where I was like, you know what? I'm going to assume that everything is working out for me. Even though it's hard, I'm going to just assume everything's working out for me. So I did this little doodle the other day, and it says, the universe is conspiring in my favor. So I was like, okay, great. And then I think it was like the day or two before that, I did this one, which was like, feel it out. And the thing is that that positivity, while it was beautiful in that moment and it was like something to focus on, I did one, like this was like entirely like a gratitude one, which was great. It was not getting the job done. And so yesterday, when I hit my emotional wall and I was just so fed up of having weeks of heaviness and sadness and frustration and helplessness, because it's all stuff that I can't do anything about, I tapped out. And so this is what I came up with. Fuck these feelings. And yeah, like it's cute and it's colorful and whatever, but the time that it took to do that lettering, it took a little while, and all those little dots and whatever, but being in that space where I could just say, like, you know what, I don't need to be nice about this. I don't need to be like kind, because honestly, like there was no one, it's not like I was being mean to anybody, but I was being in some ways not very kind to myself because I wasn't really creating, I was creating space, but I just was like, I was tapped out. I was really tired of it, frankly. And we get to those places, right? Especially when it's the same things that are happening over and over again, or when it's something that's happening on a long time. Think about the pandemic. I think a huge part of the reason why people are like misbehaving with the pandemic right now is because they are done. I think they were done in like June or July. And so we start to like not honor things in the same way, and we don't really, you know, do things in like the most ideal way because we are not in the space where we're working from our highest self anymore. We are tapped out. And so that's where I am. And this is what my invitation is to you, because we all get to those places. You know, I know moms in particular have these ridiculously full plates where they're working and they're trying to like, you know, show up in that way and not just be providers, but also like have an identity outside of their motherhood or being a wife or whatever it is. And then they come home and they're trying to like have the kids be these like ideal children. They work really hard. They give them everything that they can, particularly all the things they didn't get for themselves. And then they're doing this like in all these different facets. We wear a lot of hats and we're trying to be perfect at everything. And that's where that nice thing comes in. That's where that polite comes in, because in order to do that, and we're not perfect beings, like newsflash, but in order to do that, we end up compromising ourselves. And yeah, sure, it's great for everybody else, but if at the end of the day you have nothing to give yourself, or at the end of the day you feel like shit, who cares how happy everybody else is? Because your happiness and your needs and your energy and all of that stuff is just as important as anyone else's. So I think we need to promise ourselves that we're not going to worry about being polite. We're not going to be worrying about other people's comfort. We're going to take up space. We're going to use our voice. We're going to make our needs known. We're going to prioritize ourselves, even if it means that we have to like do a little less for somebody else or do things a little bit differently for somebody else. And it doesn't have to be all the time. I'm also not talking about going around being an asshole and just burning everything to the ground, right? Like you don't have to be a jerk about it, but it is okay to make yourself a priority. I would go so far as to say it is important. And if it ruffles the feathers of the people who are used to kind of walking all over you, well then let their feathers be ruffled. Honestly, like you need that. And when it comes to confronting either those feelings within yourself or your own burnout and fatigue, or someone not, you know, upholding the boundaries that you set, you don't have to be super nice about that either. Because if they're going to be an asshole, you can be an asshole. It's really what it comes down to. But again, I'm not saying to be an asshole. What I'm really trying to say is like to stand in your truth and to let it be firm, even if that's not considered nice or polite. You don't owe anyone your manners. Just be yourself and honor yourself. Oh my God, honor yourself. Okay, that is my little message for you, my darling. I hope this message finds you well. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know there's going to be people who are just going like, not going to happen. And I know that it might push some buttons. And let's have a conversation about that. I'm a firm believer that we need to get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. And you don't have to agree with me. The things that I come on and I share in these videos are really my opinion, my take on the world, the things that I've, learned and assimilated over my life as this person. But they're not going to be for everybody. And so take what works for you and leave the rest. But if you want to talk about, whether you agree or disagree, let's do that in the comments. If you're in my Facebook group, the Lightwalkers Path, let's do it there. I'm really open to having these conversations, and we don't have to agree. And you might not convince me to your side of things, but we can be cool about it. And it's easy. So, I'm also going to link again the Lightwalkers, the Conversations with Anger PDF. I'll link to that in the comments too, so it's really easy for you to find. I love this PDF so much. It teaches 3 different tools that you can talk to your anger, but it doesn't have to just be anger. You can use this to access any of the feelings that are happening behind the scenes that you know are really big and uncomfortable and you're having a hard time accessing or going deep with. So there's 3 different tools in there. They're accessible to everybody. You don't have to be like ultra woo or anything. And I think that it could probably do a lot of good for you. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love today, and I hope this message finds you well. We'll talk again tomorrow. Bye-bye.